Welcome into the Trevor Staub Show, episode number 9. Today we have a very special guest. We have Simon Lizotte. Just a heads up for this interview. This was recorded a few weeks ago. This was actually taken after his first return to the tour. So it was a few weeks ago, but none of the questions were super time sensitive, and I knew everybody would want to see this interview. So I made sure I found time to move it into the schedule. The only thing that you will notice is at the time of this interview, he was teasing his new grip bag that was released. It has since then released and sold out. However, I've decided to keep it in because they are restocking that bag in the upcoming weeks. So I wanted to make sure that I got to keep that promo in for him, and you can still be able to check out that bag as well. But other than that, we get to talk about Simon, about what it's like being a new dad, trying to balance out that with his tour plans, also making his comeback from his injury and just his time off the tour, as well as going through that transition into the new Discmania molds that are all kind of going on. So it's a real mixed bag, but it's a lot of fun. Simon's a great guest, so let's jump right into it. All right, so we're here with the king of disc golf YouTube, one of the original Crush Boys, Simon Lizotte. Simon, thank you so much for joining the show.
Hey, Trevor. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into everything, I just wanted to congratulate you first and foremost on the birth of your son, Emmett. How's the dad life been treating you? Oh, thank you.
I know you're also a recent dad. You might be surprised, but I pretty much listened, at least for the last couple of months, I've probably listened to every single Foundation podcast and like all of the things you're up to. So
wow,
I probably know more about you than you realize. So yeah, you're also a recent dad. And,
okay.
I think you're like a month ahead of me, but yeah, it's been a crazy ride. Every day is a bit different. It's hard to really just say how it is in general because it's so different every day.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sleeping was nice 5 weeks ago. Now it's rough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's like the biggest? Is sleep been like the biggest surprise for you, or what's been like the craziest thing that you didn't expect?
I never really realized that they have to eat every 2 to 3 hours for the first couple of weeks. I mean, it kind of makes sense because they only drink milk, so obviously they need a lot of that, and they're trying to gain all the weight back they lose right after birth. Every baby's going to be so different, so it's hard to really say what I expected, but I was expecting him to sleep more, and the internet says babies usually sleep more, and I'm like comparing it to my baby, and I'm like, that's not accurate at all.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's no big deal. Like you take care of it, and then they'll just sleep all day. No, exactly. Not at all. It's you gotta like get them fed all the time. Yeah. So has becoming a dad, like, has it changed any of your perspective on like being a disc golf pro, or how has that kind of changed things for you?
I mean, the full honest truth would be that it hasn't hit me yet, really, what the whole change thing. I mean, it's been 5 weeks now. Feels in my melted brain, it feels like 6 months have passed because the days are just so long. But everyone says it's long days and short years. So everyone says it flies by at the end of it. So you got to really take it in now. But no, I was gone for Waco only for 4 days. And after those 4 days, I really noticed, like, man, I miss my family. I want to go back home right now. And 4 days is like nothing for me. I used to go for months or weeks at least on tour. So yeah, it's definitely a whole different thing. And you kind of realize that your priorities you had before having a baby kind of like shifted behind you, and you got to keep that thing alive because it's everything.
Yeah. That's a crazy thing is too, and I'm sure you noticed it, but 4 days will go by and the next time you see your kid, it's like a whole different person because they're growing so fast.
Dude, my baby went from like 7 pounds to 10 pounds so quick.
Yeah.
And he's like a little chunker now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. So you finally got your season started. You went out to Waco. How was it after having kind of the more extended off season? Could you notice that you were a little rusty, or are you kind of the type of player who can just kind of find your groove pretty quickly?
I would say the biggest thing I noticed, and what reflects on my scorecards perfectly, is that after half or even more than half, like the last couple holes of each round, not really physically, but mentally, I was just like so exhausted. I couldn't focus properly anymore. I think that was probably due to lack of sleep because I just had a baby, so obviously that didn't help.
Yeah.
Throwing wise, my elbow wasn't feeling that great, or not as good as I would like it to, because with my injury, rest is actually not recommended. I should throw at least like a handful of times a week, just to keep the elbow used to it and basically be like in the flow of things. And after my Vlogmas, which ended obviously Christmas, until Waco, I've played 2 rounds of disc golf in those like almost 3 months. And my elbow felt it. So actually round 1, hole 2, tee shot, I tweaked my elbow so bad that I thought I might have to like drop out, and it was like a terrible idea to play. I took it way easier after that, but it was in the back of my head the entire time, of course, that, this next throw might hurt. Right. And then hitting your lines in the woods is obviously really hard if you're like holding back a bit. And it was tough. The woods were tough for me, and then the open holes, of course, the conditions were horrible. Like, it was so windy. So pulling out my like PD2s and like trying to power through the wind with my elbow in the back of my head was really hard.
Yeah, I feel like there's certain players who can kind of get away with like throwing a little bit softer, but I feel like you and like Drew Gibson's another example. Like, there are certain players who like to hit lines by throwing pretty fast and pretty quick. And so that definitely, being hindered in that way would definitely have an impact for you for sure.
Yeah, also obviously putting is a huge thing. And looking at my putting stats on UDisc, I putted like absolute crap out there. But just mentally and feeling wise, on the course, it actually felt really good, at least for like the first 2/3 of the round. I was hitting most of my putts, and even in the wind, I was feeling like more in control than I usually do at the beginning of a season. And that reflects the practice I've been doing in the basement. I've been trying to putt every night, at least a couple hundred putts, and that has really helped. I'm pretty happy with my putters right now, the original P2s.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the next event already, and hopefully I can play a couple rounds. It's finally warming up here now, so I can play a bit more, and hopefully my elbow is going to do a bit better in like 4 weeks from now.
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit, and I kind of just wanted to talk about your career as a whole a little bit. I wanted to get some insight. So when you kind of first got into disc golf, you were sort of labeled as like the German disc golf prodigy. That was kind of like how people were perceiving you when you got into the sport. But then pretty soon what fans started to hold on to was kind of the way you played the game, your arm strength and your distance you were able to achieve off the tee was what stood out pretty quick. And this led you kind of to the Crush Boys era, to where you and Eagle were, throwing lines that nobody else was throwing, kind of changing the game in that way. My question is, throughout your career, though your career's been filled with a lot of success as a competitor, you've had a lot of big wins. You finished consistently near the top 10 on the Pro Tour. Do you feel like, because of that success, do you feel like that the public perception of you as more of an entertainer has overshadowed your professional accolades at all?
I mean, I blame myself for that, because basically in every interview I ever do, I always say that I don't care about my performance, really. I don't care about winning, which is a total half-truth. Obviously, I care. I mean, I've been playing disc golf my whole life. Obviously, I'm extremely competitive, and I love winning, and I love playing well. But I just had to realize that showing up every week, week in, week out, against Paul and Ricky, and now like 20 other guys, it was just totally like not my style. And I always wondered, like, in my brain, like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not trying harder? But that's just me. And I found a really cool kind of like niche in the sport where I could be like the showman, the entertainer, almost like the show off.
Yeah.
And my body was able to handle it for a lot of years, and then recently not anymore. So it definitely took a toll on my body doing that. But I had so much fun getting into trick shots. That was like back in 2014, 2015. I was just building the fan base, my Instagram. Like I was pretty much the most followed disc golfer, except for Paul Macbeth, pretty much for the last 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And that's helped a lot, of course, with signature disc sales and whatever we do with merch and stuff.
Right.
So I was always able to be very comfortable as a touring pro, like at least financially, just because of the fan base. Even I wasn't like Paul or Ricky, like competing for the win every weekend. But back to your question. It's all my fault. It's all my fault that I'm perceived the way I am, because that's kind of who I wanted to be.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I thought it was interesting because I've certainly heard that narrative throughout your career. But just kind of looking into your stats as I was researching the other day, I was like, there's something to be said for the fact that, Simon's had a really good career on the tour. Like, you've got some signature wins, some big wins against really good players, and you still consistently can finish in a very respectable places and compete any week. So I think a lot of people just kind of can overlook that. So I'm going to change the narrative. I'm going to change the narrative.
Trevor, I used to be like really good. I remember like 2017, 2018.
You still are.
I was like top 5 like every single event.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
you still got it.
I still have it. It might take a couple more events, but I'm guaranteed I'll be in contention at least a handful of events this year. I don't guarantee it.
All right.
I really think I will.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that kind of pivots into my next question, anyways, because you mentioned like how being a marketable personality has helped you in disc golf, and disc golf, it does have that balance to where winning obviously is big and you can reap the benefits of that financially, but not everybody can go out there, like you mentioned, and beat Paul and Ricky week in and week out. It's really tough to do, and now it's just getting harder and harder. And it's difficult just to make a really good living just on success anyways, unless you're really consistently winning. I mean, the purses haven't grown quite as much as some of the other stuff in the sport has. So I think it's crucial to make a brand for yourself and get notoriety. I think you've been able to do that not only with your play style, but also with your YouTube channel. So I just wanted to kind of ask, like, how do you find a balance between working on your disc golf game and also working on your brand and doing content and things like that?
Well, that question is a weird answer because I haven't been balancing it really at all. As you can see, my game is lacking a lot on the course, and that is probably, at least in the recent years, mostly due to injuries, of course, and then me focusing more on my brand and my YouTube channel. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we all have to make money. And I had to see how can I make this work? How can I make money in disc golf? Of course, 2 years ago, the pandemic hit and all disc golf tournaments were canceled. And that's kind of when I really fired up my YouTube channel. It was right place at the right time. Yeah. And I've actually, looking back, even when I was younger, before my disc golf career even started, I always was into video recording and editing. So it's always something I really enjoyed, and still now I still really enjoy the whole process of making a video. And it blew my mind, obviously, how successful it was and how fast I went from 0 to 100,000 subscribers, and quickly realized that, damn, I make literally more money on YouTube than I ever made playing tournaments. So and it builds my brand at the same time. So any signature disc release, like I said earlier, was sold out in 2 minutes, literally. Thousands of discs sold out in 2 minutes, and people getting angry that they couldn't get their hands on stuff. I'm just really looking forward to the next couple of years. I think I still have at least a handful of good years in me, and Discmania is in the best spot they've ever been, because they're now making their own discs, and the factory is finally firing up. We're getting more and more machines, and the production we'll be able to produce so many discs in the next couple of years that the releases are going to be nuts, and I can't wait.
Well, that's actually a perfect transition, because I wanted to talk to you about Discmania. I'd be very interested to get more of an inside perspective on what's going on. So just kind of going back, obviously this transition has been huge for them. I think that what they were able to do with the situation they were essentially handed was a pretty good spin. But what was that like? What was going through that as a player? Having to now adjust to new molds coming in and all this. What has it been like going through that whole process from start to finish?
For me personally, because I've been with Discmania for so long, of course it's a bit difficult to get used to new plastic and new molds. But mostly what I felt was being very happy to have something new, because I've been with Discmania since late 2012, 2013, so almost 10 years. And I mean, I love disc golf. I still love playing. It's my number one favorite thing to do most of the year. But throwing the same discs for 10 years just over and over and over can get tiring and kind of boring at some point. And I felt myself, after each season, I felt myself so burnt out. And I think just having the same bag just for so many years just kind of was at some point boring. And me being bored on the course has never been a good thing, because then I start doing really dumb stuff. So I was really looking forward to the switch up and trying some new plastics, some new molds, even though I love Innova and I've been throwing Innova ever since I can remember. But that transition we're almost at a full non-Innova bag at this point. I still have some PD2s
Okay.
and some FD3s, but that's pretty much about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the transition just because it's something new and that's fun.
Yeah, and I honestly, gotten my hands on pretty much all of the new molds that have been released, and I think they've done a pretty good job with essentially capturing the essence of the original molds, but with some new twists. And so you were kind of mentioning earlier how Discmania is in a great spot now. Do you think that obviously their first step was to replicate? Well, not necessarily the first step, but one of their big plans right now is replicating the original molds. Do you think now, because manufacturing is in their hands more so than it was, are they going to be coming out with expanding their line a lot more?
Oh man, I don't know how much you know about UC, but he's like the brain and he's everything behind Discmania.
Yeah.
Basically, he started the whole thing back in 2006. He went from zero anything to now having his own freaking huge manufacturer. It's every time I talk to him, my mind gets blown. Still, even though I've known him for like 14 years now, it's the plans and visions that he has for the sport and for his company are just so next level. I don't have a business brain. I really don't, even though I kind of know how to market myself. But for the whole sport as a business, people always ask me like, where is the sport going to be in 5 years from now? What's the next step? All that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. It's not really my job to understand all these next steps and like foresee what's going to happen. But you see, he went to business school. Obviously, he has multiple $1 million companies. He's a genius, in my opinion, and everything he tells me about the future and the plans and his visions blow my mind every time, and I can't really understand how all that is going to happen. But yeah, UC, I have full faith in him. Also, he just won. I don't know if you saw, but he just won Entrepreneur of the Year in Finland, which is freaking sick.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. I actually, I have an interview scheduled with him for next week, so I'm really looking forward to that and kind of picking his brain because I mean, I've been in disc golf for pretty much as long as since you signed with Discmania, and I've kind of followed along that narrative, and I've always found him very fascinating, and he's always seems to have really cool initiatives for the sport. So he definitely seems like Discmania. Yeah. I mean, it definitely seems, though, like Discmania has good people at the helm that are trying to steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, the whole vision of Discmania is being the world-leading disc golf company. And we're heading in the right direction right now.
Yeah, I would say so. So you mentioned like throwing new molds into your bag, but you still have a few left. Which one is going to be the hardest, you think, to kick out of your bag as far as like a staple in your bag?
Honestly, because we're basically copying exactly what we had, I don't really see any problems. I'm really looking forward to new PD2s. I'm not sure exactly now schedule-wise when that's happening. Maybe not even this year, maybe next year. But the only two molds left in my bag are PD2s and FD3s, which we haven't copied yet. I don't know. I really don't know. So far, everything we've made that's
so it's just
new,
a matter of time at this point?
It really is. Everything, the new C line feels, in my opinion, feels so good. I think it feels better than the Innova C line that we had. It's going to be more consistent also because our discs are made by robots. I love it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The manufacturing process going on over there is definitely producing the most consistent stuff. That really can't be argued at this point. I agree with that. Yeah. So kind of going back to a little bit earlier, we were talking about with the YouTube and everything. I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, since you've had so much success with YouTube and all of your other social entertainment outlets, do you see yourself kind of pursuing that more as your career gets down and touring less? Like, is that sort of part of your plan, is to kind of go more full-time with that?
I mean, in my life, I never really made a lot of plans because plans constantly change so much. We're currently thinking about moving down south a bit because my fiance is actually stopping to work now because disc golf is doing so great. And basically the only thing keeping us here was her job. So we might move into a bit warmer climate. We're thinking about Charlotte, North Carolina. First of all, the disc golf scene there is amazing. There's like a handful of other pros that live there already, and I think more people are moving there. The Disc Golf Pro Tour headquarters are moving close to that area. And if I'm living, like if Kevin Jones and Paul Ulibarri are my neighbors, then YouTube obviously is going to be much easier for me, because up here,
it's tough to get a collab.
I like going out by myself, and I have a couple local friends, of course, but you know how easy it is to make a cool video with Kevin Jones. It's going to be like, it's like not even going to be a problem, and it's going to be fun. So YouTube is definitely going to stick around. I want to get a bit more into course design as well. I mean, UC obviously runs Disc Golf Park as well. I've done a couple course design collabs with Avery Jenkins, who's like the #1 Disc Golf Park designer in the US. Yeah, not sure if that's going to happen like in the next couple of years, but definitely down the stretch, course design is something I really would love to do. And yeah, not just for other people, but eventually also for my own course. That's obviously the disc golf dream, to buy some land and build a handful of courses, have a disc golf complex, and in the best case scenario, pay to play if they're good enough, and like just make a living off of running your disc golf business.
That would be sweet. I mean, I would definitely make a trip to the Lizotte disc golf course, so...
I want to do like a collab with Yuli and Kevin Jones or whoever's in the area, and make like a disc golf complex with the Lizotte course, Yuli course, Jones course. I think that would be really cool.
That would be incredible. I think it would be awesome to start seeing more courses being built for the purpose of being a disc golf course, to where land is bought, developed, and like manicured essentially, and kept up to be, because I'm willing to pay a little bit of money to play disc golf if it's going to be a course that I know the money's going into and kept in shape. So I'm hoping that kind of becomes more of a trend for sure.
I agree.
But one more thing I wanted to ask you, you mentioned kind of all the exciting things happening this year. What kind of Simon Lizotte signature molds can we expect? Anything coming out this year?
Yeah, so actually I haven't talked to UC in a while because he's been so busy with other stuff. But the next thing is my signature grip bag. Oh, dang it, I wanted to grab it.
Oh, yeah, I did. I saw a post about that, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to grab it. I have it in the basement. I wanted to show it right now as like a first tease.
Okay.
I really should have done that.
We can cut to it. We'll do it at the end.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Because I've seen photos online of it already, so I can basically show it now because everyone kind of knows. That's the new big thing, and I'm looking forward to the release. It's a pretty cool new grip bag that's pretty aggressive. Not really on brand, but I kind of like going like in a different direction, and it's kind of funky. And then I think the plan is for me to do 3 signature molds this year, which is going to be the new tilt. With that release, I'm a bit worried about, but we'll see. I think we can build hype one more time for that disc.
I think so. People will
have
love
one
tilt.
more good release with it. It might be the last tilt to ever be released. We'll see.
Okay.
Then I have the Sky God 4 that also has been shown online already.
Yeah.
And then the new mold we made, the new MD1s, which was like the 15 years Discmania anniversary disc.
Okay.
I love that disc so much, and the little I've played since that disc came out, I basically threw it on every single hole, and it's exactly what I'm looking for in a mid-range. And right when I got it, I texted UC and said, is there any way I can make this my next signature disc? And he said, yes. And so that's going to be coming out. It's probably going to be the last release for me this year. So that's going to be like later, like October-ish. Okay. But that's going to be the new MD1. And in a dream world, I'll have 4 signature discs by next year. But UC said I'll have to win another event to get the 4th one. Like Eagle has 4, I have 3. But Eagle's also been winning a lot of events, so he deserves it.
Well, sweet. I'm looking forward to seeing them. But if you want to go grab the bag, you can bring it on.
Oh, I'll grab it real quick.
Cut to it. Here we go. I'm excited. The premiere.
Yeah. So this is a collab with Thought Space Athletics again, which I've done my beer with. They do the active line for disc golf for Discmania as well. Yeah. And I said, hey, do you want to design me a cool grip bag? And Grip agreed to collab with them, and so it's Lizotte, Grip, Thought Space. Okay. And they came up with this. Oh boy. Oh, Angry man. Gorilla.
Oh wow.
And if that wasn't enough, if you open the side zippers, We got some bananas, baby.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, so the discs are obviously inside the gorilla's face.
That's sick.
And this is my new favorite disc also, by the way.
Wow. That's impressive. That's honestly super accurate. Is it just like a picture?
A tattoo artist dyed this. I don't know how the hell he did that, but it's unbelievable.
I've never seen a dye that photorealistic before. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, and the sides have also some neon colored bananas, the Discmania logo. On the other side, there's the grip logo. And on the back, we have Thought Space and grip represented.
Nice. That's cool they did like a collab like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, so when are those coming out?
Those are coming out right in a week from now. Wait, today is I don't even know what date it is.
16th today.
The 23rd. Okay. So yeah, in 1 week from now.
Nice. Well, there you have it. If you want, is there like an official name for the Angry Gorilla bag, or is that what they're going with? It's just gonna be the Simon Lizotte signature.
Probably the Simon Lizotte signature bag, but I call it the Angry Ape.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what counts then.
Like me on the course, I'm the Angry Ape. It's on brand, perfect.
I definitely I love like the loud disc golf bags. Like I'm always a fan of I remember when the first flag bag came out that Paul did. Like I've always loved the super crazy designs. So
it's very poppy, especially in person. It's a bit in your face, but I like it.
Well, Simon, thank you so much for joining the show. Super excited to have you on today. Get to talk to you. Good luck for the rest of the year. Good luck being a dad. Hopefully you get some more sleep as time goes on. But thanks for stopping in.
All right. Good job on everything you guys are doing. You're killing it. And thanks. I'll try my best.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks once again to Simon Lizotte for joining the show. It was great hearing from him. And make sure to check out that new bag whenever it does restock. And other than that, we'll see you next week, next Thursday, for another great interview. Make sure to check it out.